Hello everyone, it's Leah from Dime Culture, and today I'll be showing you Daniel Smith's dot cards. On today's agenda, I'll be showing you the dot cards as well as their corresponding swatches. But don't worry, I won't be showing you me swatching each one out, because that would take forever. What I will be doing is showing you a few of the colors being swatched out. Once that's complete, we will get to some playing. So we'll be testing out the colors just to see how they work. If you'd like to see this review with a speed paint of Daniel Smith's dot card paints in action, then click the icon in the corner of your screen. I will also leave a link in the description below because I've made a longer version of this one where at the end of testing out the paints and using them in a more exploratory way, I'm now going to show you how they actually work for painting. And I've created a cute little lammy. So check that out if that's what you're looking for. If not, let's get right into the full-on review. And let's just dive right in. These dot cards are labeled as having 240 colors of Daniel Smith's full line of watercolor paints. However, one color was left out of the swatches, with a little sticker saying on it that it was intentionally left out, which means technically you only get 239. But come on, really? One less? Not a big deal. You have 239 colors to play with. That is a lot of color. And each of those dots of paint are labeled with their name, series number, their product number, as well as their ratings and style. For their ratings, they have their light fastness, if they are staining or non-staining. For their styles, you are informed of their granulation level, which is a yes or a no. They also have their transparency levels. Now, if you see one of the colors with a P next to it, it means it's from their Primatech line of paints, which uses crystals and minerals as the pigments. There are a few things about Daniel Smith's watercolors that have really caught my attention. One of them is how their cadmium hue paints don't use cadmium in them, and yet they have the same color and even better performance. Another thing that really caught my attention was something I learned while I was using these dot cards. The paint lasts a long time. And I mean, you get so much color out of so little bit of paint that's dry that the paint you are using will last you for a long period of time. If I'm going to be investing my money into a pro-grade brand of paint, they better be lasting a long time with frequent, if not daily, use. And that is something that I really learned while using these paints. So what I'm going to do right now is list down all the colors that I've been swatching. So I did the cadmium yellow deep hue, pyrrole orange, peryllium scarlet, scarlet, carmine, pyrrole crimson, rose of ultramarine, cobalt violet. I did the amethyst genuine from their Primatech line, their Prussian blue, spring green. Currently I am doing the graphite gray. And then I am also going to be swatching out their iridescent Aztec gold, their duochrome emerald, duochrome cactus flower, and the interference green. I want to just point out something about the amethyst genuine, and it's just how in this swatch you do not get to see and be able to appreciate just how sparkly this color actually is. It's impressive. I like it. I want it. All right, let's go to the next stage. Okay, so now let's just examine a couple of the paints before we get into some more experimentation. I'm going to start with the Prussian blue. This one here, as I mentioned, is labeled as a transparent color, but as you can see, it actually can be very pigmented, very dark, and you can then make it quite transparent, where if you're comparing it to a semi-transparent paint, like any of the other paints on the other side, you can see how it's, the same. Now, for the graphite gray, I want to point out this is supposed to be opaque, and oh my goodness, is it not opaque? It's amazingly dark, and you can't even see the black line through it. And then for the specialty paints that are the sparkly ones that are non from the Primatech line, just you can, this camera doesn't really do it justice. And I apologize for it being, out of focus, but I'm trying to get it so that you can see the shimmer and shine that you get out of them. I'm actually quite curious to see what it would look like fresh out of a tube, just to see how strong and pigmented it would actually be. Okay, so I want to point out that the Rose of Ultramarine color, I absolutely love how two-toned it is on the swatch card itself, but when I swatched it out, you didn't really see that two-tone effect, but it did start out really dark and then was able to go transparent. So let's do a little bit of experimenting here. I'm going to take the paint and I'm going to water it down, because maybe the type of granulation that it has to make it two-toned comes out from being more watered down. So let's see if it does that. So what I've done is I've laid out some water and I've blopped the paint in to give it some flow. Now I'm going to go into the graphite gray. It is labeled as non-granulating, but when I was looking at it watered down, it felt like it had a bit of a texture by sight. So I just want to see if there's a lot of water to the graphite gray, if you still get non-granulating feel, or if you actually do get a granulating effect. Mostly because it is graphite gray, so I'm just testing basically to see if this paint, watercolor paint, is like graphite itself. Which, I'm not a graphite artist. I don't personally use it, but this watercolor pigment, this paint by Daniel Smith, it's really intrigued me because of how matte it is and how opaque it is, and I really, really like it. And I'm thinking, well, I don't use graphite as an artist typically, but I would definitely add this to my watercolor palette. So let's just test it out. Okay, so I did do a third experiment, but I didn't get it on camera, and I'm sorry for that, but I will explain what I did. But in the meantime, let's look at the Rose of Ultramarine. So with the water, you can definitely see that granulation and that two-tone coming out. You can even feel it when you touch it. For the graphite gray, yes, there is granulation when it is extremely watered down. And when you mix it with other colors, you can still see the graphite gray mixed in with it, which I think is really nice. Now, for the duochrome emerald, I want to see how it looked on other colors, and it shines. The next stage of testing out paint is to actually see how those colors and that paint mixes with one another. So what I've done is two different color-ish wheels. They're basically not real color wheels, but they get the point across when you're just testing out a color. So you want to take out your primary colors and see how they mix. How do your purples turn out? How do your oranges and greens turn out? And then if you have two colors, for example, that you're really in love with, test to see how they mix together and what kind of tones and pigments you can get. Because if you're doing a painting like a flower or a galaxy, you want to make sure those colors actually are harmonious and will mix and blend well together. And we have reached the end of this review. I'm hoping that you all enjoyed it and learned a bit of the Daniel Smith swatch cards. If you have any questions, please leave a comment in the description below. If you liked this video, please, please, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're really into adding some magic into your life with art, subscribe to Dime Culture. And thank you for watching this video. If you want to see this paint in action with a Lamy painting, please follow the links in the description below. And until next time, stay magical.